You can't rush the brush. What is up, guys? My name is Javago. You can call me Z. I'm basically starting self-help videos because I was moved in my spirit to kind of begin that journey. You need a lot of self-help and a lot of encouragement these days, especially in this time of COVID. You know, so I was just kind of moved to begin to, I guess, give hope and give encouragement and kind of, I guess, spread the love and spread encouragement and kind of help other young people and not so young people with the things we all go through and the things we deal with on a daily basis. So today I am attempting to speak on the art of patience. I know that is a big thing, a big deal, especially in this time of COVID. We are all locked up in our homes, most of us, and we have been delayed in a lot of things. We had plans of travel, we had school plans, like some of us wanted to go off, some of us probably were already off, and that didn't work out because of COVID and all sorts of different things, and we were delayed. And so we had to find ourselves waiting and having to be patient, although we don't want to. So it's just such a necessity to be patient. So let's get into the definition of patience. So patience is the capacity to accept or tolerate, delay problems or suffering without becoming annoyed or anxious. So that is a big deal because I think the last part of that sentence is the hardest thing to do. The fact that you're not angered or irritated by the delay. I have not mastered that art yet. I don't know about y'all, but I haven't. But I think it's just so hard to have patience. Like I had certain plans to kind of go off of school and achieve certain goals and do certain things in music, which I love. But they couldn't get off the ground really because of all the stuff going on with the coronavirus. It's just you find yourself in moments where it's just kind of like, man, like why did this have to happen now? Like why now? I had so much planned for this year, but you kind of have to push through that. There's so much things in life, that we look forward to that you have to wait on, even before COVID. So it can be as simple as food. Like it has to be prepped, it has to be seasoned, it has to be cooked. You have to wait to eat it. You even have like the birth of kids. It takes 9 months. You have to wait. The parents have to wait. Everything, art takes time. It takes patience. And we're talking about the art of patience. So patience is something we definitely have to have. So I'm a Christian, and so a lot of my, I guess, morality and my moral compass and just the way I deal with things is based on the Bible. And so one verse I want to just talk about quickly is Philippians 4:6, which says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your request to God." That's one way I kind of deal, with patience. It's very important to kind of have, if you do have that relationship with God, to kind of have someone or an entity that you can come to. For me, it's God, and I like the verse says, I petition to God, so I present, how I'm feeling and what I would like to happen to God in prayer. I talk to Him, and I feel better about it because I feel like I'm being heard, and I feel like what I'm striving toward is going somewhere and is being worked on, because that's my belief. But I think it's important for anyone. Let's say you don't have that relationship. Even if you have someone that you talk to, because I do have friends, that I also go to and talk about my disappointments or what I'm waiting on or what I really want to happen. it's good to kind of communicate in that way and have people that you can talk to, or something that you can relate with and just commune with in reference to what you're waiting on and what you're patient about or being patient about. Patience is so hard, and it's really hard because it's usually pertaining to something that you want right here and right now. Most of us want instant gratification. We're in a generation where most things we can just kind of type in Google and it's right there. So we don't like waiting. We don't like buffering. We don't like loading. We don't like none of that stuff. We're not here for it. So, you know, that's why I think it's such a, I guess, especially for my generation, like us 90s babies and whatnot, it's kind of hard to have to wait on something good or something that you want to happen in your life. And that's fine. And it's good to acknowledge that this is hard, it is difficult, it is challenging. Um, but yeah, it's just something, it's a skill that has to be learned. It's really important to learn. One way I work my patience is to basically prepare for what I'm expecting. So how do you do that? So how I do that is by basically knowing what I want, but more than knowing what I want, I am setting myself up to be ready for whatever that is. So I think in times of or seasons of delay and seasons of just having to wait, I think it's a great time to basically prepare and to get yourself in order, to get yourself ready for what it is you're looking for. So, for instance, with school. So let's say you were trying to go off to school. This is a perfect time to kind of, I guess, polish yourself. So you can work on, let's say you were going to study engineering. This is a great time to kind of go and research engineering. Kind of, I guess, if you were already in school, maybe an undergraduate degree, you could use this as a time to refresh and, you know, study things you would have went over before in your undergraduate degree. Kind of polish yourself, make yourself better, work on your study habits. Because I'm sure if you're anything like me, your study habits ain't too cute. So you could work on those and make yourself better and make yourself even more prepared for what it is you're waiting on. So by the time you get to that school, you'll be in and out of class. You might not even have to show up to class because you are already a genius. You know everything. You done there. Why? 4.0. So, you know, that's just one example of how you kind of prepare yourself and just use the time of waiting to polish yourself and just, I guess, be more ready for what it is you want. Next, one way I get through the process of being patient is thinking back on the good things I've received that I had to be patient for. So one example I want to use is with a vehicle, because I live in Nassau in the Bahamas, and I didn't have a vehicle always. I now have a car, but I had to catch bus and I had to, you know, tow long jitney and buses. Jitney is what we call, you know, buses back home. That's what I had to do, along with, you know, a good amount of walking. And so that was my life for a good amount of years. Before I would have gotten my first vehicle in my first year of being full-time employed. So yeah, so with that being said, you know, I just, in these times where I'm delayed and I'm like, man, what's going on? Like, where's my life headed? I just remember there was a time when I was walking to buses in the rain and being splashed on the side of the road and these different things, trying to catch a bus. And now look at me, you know, in my vehicle. Fast forward a few years later, I have my own car and I'm in my vehicle, AC on, no more splashing, you know. So it's just things like that. Like you just have to remember all the ways you were tried, and you had to be patient, and you got what it was you were working toward at the end of the trial, because there comes an end, to the trial. So that's another thing. So you can't feel like this time of waiting lasts forever. It could never last forever. Nothing lasts forever but God. There has to be an end to the trial, so never feel that this is it and it's gonna end here. That is not true. And it's just so important, like I have to reiterate that in this time of quarantine, we really have to learn to exercise the skill, because it is a skill of being patient. Like I said at the beginning, we are all locked in our homes with nothing to do, seemingly, because we can work our patience, and we can do this by being productive, thinking positively, and third of all, you need to last of all remember, art takes time. I touched on it earlier, but art takes time. I don't know if anyone's ever been to an exhibit or to a museum. Those things that you see hanging up or that you see on display, that did not take 1 minute, 2 minutes, as much as you might feel that it was, because let's be honest, some art, it seems like it was quick. It ain't the most impressive pieces of art sometimes, but hey, they still took time, and they're on exhibit. Is your art on exhibit? No. So can't hate. Art takes time, and so we have to remember that. We have to remember that these different things, even waiting, builds us and makes us better persons. So it's important to remember, art takes time. Your art takes time. Your journey takes time. You can't rush the brush. Yeah, don't mind me being annoying and weird. But yeah, you can't rush the brush. And so we need to remember that we have to know what we are waiting on is the next chapter in our series. We know these things take time. That's another good point. Your favorite Netflix series, that didn't just happen. You had to wait on that season. You had to wait for those roles to be cast. You had to wait for the script to be written. You had to wait for them to learn their lines, to do all the production and all the cinematic work, and then it was given to Netflix for them to then upload. You have to wait. Like, these things take time. Greatness takes time. Art takes time. For anything you can think of, this computer that I'm speaking to, the room that you see that I'm in, all of this took time to construct and to make. And so, we have to know that nothing good and of quality is quick. There has to be some process to it. There has to be some form of creative process, some form of waiting. There has to be some patience involved. It takes time. Greatness takes time. So that's what we have to remember. That's the last thing I have to say about the art of patience. We need to know that our lives are art, and it takes time for it to be perfectly painted, for it to be constructed to perfection, So yeah, that's my 2 cents, and I hope that I was helpful in some way, shape, or form. I hope that somebody can take notes from what I said, that my experience and my thoughts can be applied somehow, some way. It would be great if you guys can comment, tell me what you thought, if you relate, what you relate to, don't relate, hey. So thank you guys once again, and I appreciate you guys for the support in advance, and I hope to continue doing these type of videos just to help and be an encouragement. Thanks guys, peace.